Hello and welcome back to the Lucky Roll, the eclectic channel for eclectic games. Today we're looking at Here Comes the Dog from Itten Games. Produced in 2018, it's a game for 2 to 4 players and it comes in this striking red box with a rather angular looking dog on the front. Itten Games are a Japanese company and Here Comes the Dog is typical of the games from their stable. It's beautifully designed and crafted with a handmade aesthetic. It's rules light and it's quick, fun and highly competitive to play. In the box you get this impressive bonfire piece, 12 villagers, 25 dogs, 3 special 6-sided dice, 1 round counter die and a bunch of coloured popsicle sticks that we'll explain the significance of later. There's also supposed to be a rulebook included, but I bought this copy of the game used on eBay and the rulebook was missing. That's not a problem though, as the rules are readily available for download on the Itten website. The action of the game takes place in an imagined prehistory. You are represented on the tabletop by 3 villagers who are standing near an impressively proportioned bonfire. Your opponents also control 3 villagers apiece. On the fire, which is fueled by charcoal, you are cooking meat. The aroma has drawn the attention of a large pack of ravening wild dogs who are skirting the perimeter looking for an inn. Your task and the winning condition of the game is to A. survive and B. to be the player to tame more wild dogs than anyone else. There are 5 rounds to the game and a special die is supplied to keep track of the rounds. A round ends when all of the charcoal tokens, represented by the black popsicle sticks, are removed from the fire, or if all of the meat tokens, which are represented by the natural coloured sticks, are removed from the fire. The average round lasts about 5 or 6 minutes, with the whole game clocking in on average at around 30 minutes. During a round, a player may opt to roll the 3 special dice, and this will dictate what resources you can draw from the bonfire and will sometimes trigger a special event. When you roll the 3 dice, you can choose to accept 2 of the 3 results. For example, in this case I have rolled 2 meat and 1 fire, so I will opt to take 1 meat token and 1 fire token from the bonfire into my hand. Sometimes a roll can result in 3 of the same color dots appearing, triggering a special in-game event. 3 natural color dots will trigger a feed event, during which your villagers have the opportunity to tame some of the wild dogs on the perimeter. 3 black dots will trigger an assault event in which your poor villagers get set upon by wild dogs. 3 red dots will trigger a fire event, meaning every player must surrender any fire tokens represented by the red popsicle sticks from their hand to the bonfire. Once a feed event is triggered, players may opt to surrender a pair of meat tokens in their hand in exchange for 1 dog, or 2 pairs for 2 dogs, and so on. The dog ceases to be wild and leaves the pack, joining your happy family of villagers as a tame dog instead, destined presumably to be named Spot or Rover. If an assault event is triggered, a number of wild dogs equal to the number of meat tokens you have in your hand attacks your villagers. You can fend off wild dogs by sacrificing 2 meat tokens per dog, or a combination of 1 fire and 1 charcoal token per dog. If caught without sufficient token combinations in your hand, however, your villagers are left defenseless, resulting in 1 or more of them being assaulted and falling over in a faint. If all 3 of your villagers faint, 1 dies and is removed permanently from the game. In general, having splayed out villagers isn't the most critical thing in the game once you can make it to the end with at least 1 villager intact. But in the event of a victory point tie at the game's end, the number of upright villagers does become a deciding factor. You may opt to trade in your turn instead of rolling the dice. This can be useful as you can, for example, surrender 1 fire token to the fire and take 2 meat tokens instead. This is where strategy rather than the luck of the dice comes to the fore. You'll want to trade fire for 2 meats at times because, as we know, 2 meat tokens can help us tame a wild dog or defend us against a canine assault. Trade can also hasten the end of a round and the triggering of an event which, if you've timed it right, can be to your benefit and to your opponent's detriment. If you've opted to dice roll during your turn and you roll a natural dot, a red dot and a black dot together, a theft event occurs where you can steal a single token from another player. This is a fun variation that can also be played strategically to weaken a strong contender. You could steal a fire token from your opponent on this turn, for example, and then trade it next turn for 2 meat tokens and the chance of adding yet another pet pooch to the clan. Looks-wise, this game is a charm offensive, and I'd want to own it for that reason alone, even if the game's playability was a complete dog. But I'm glad to report it's not, as it's a great game to play, and a game that actually gets better with a player count of 3 or more players. At 2 players, the randomness of dice rolling in the game predominates and strategy takes a back seat. You don't have the extra dimension of a 3rd or 4th player unofficially choosing sides and thwarting the actions of the leading player at every opportunity. With a higher player count, resources are more scarce, and the joys of strategic resource gathering and general backstabbing between opponents increases the tension and the fun for all. Rules-wise, it's an easy game to learn and an easy game to teach to new players. One small gripe I have with Itten games in general is that their rulebooks don't tend to be well translated from the Japanese, leading to some clunky prose and to some inscrutably worded rules in the English language versions. So, in closing, Here Comes the Dog is a winner, especially if light, fast play, family-friendly gaming is your thing. In this box, not only do you get a great game, but a work of art. This has been James from The Lucky Roll. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.